Good morning,
Good morning, everybody. Here we are at the Back to Eden Garden over in southeast Rochester.
Wait, you're supposed to ask me.
Am I really? Oh, I forgot.
Go ahead, go. You're on a roll. Go.
Where are we, Tom?
We're at Back to Eden Garden.
Oh my gosh.
I thought it was Garden of Eden, but I guess we'd be dressed differently, I'm sure. All right, let's go.
Or not dressed at all. Oh my gosh.
That's what I meant.
Hey, we are here in southeast Rochester along Marion Road at the largest Latinx community in our county, which is pretty great. This Back to Eden Garden is sponsored and created with the Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Rochester. The Master Gardeners approved this as a project this year, although two of our interns, Milena Nunez Garcia and Jose Cruz, have been working at this garden for several years, and they are interns this year, and so very happy to have them along at this garden. And this is a typical community garden in that folks have their own individual plots, families have these plots, but like most community gardens, they don't really have access to water. So what we've been doing at some of the community gardens, the RALC, the Rochester Alternative Learning Center garden, this garden, and let's see, there's another one. What is the other one, Tom? Help me out. The other fire hydrant one.
The other fire hydrant one, MLK.
No, MLK Parks put in water there, so we've got water there now. But so let's walk over to this fire hydrant and show folks what we do here.
Okay,
so,
now Kelly's got the camera.
I got the camera, so oh my gosh, this is hard. Now I see why you're so bad at it. Okay, so well, if I walk backwards, maybe I won't trip and fall. Okay. All right,
so this is what they did. Okay.
This is what they do. So what you do is you call RPU.
Yeah.
And you have a meter put on your fire hydrant, and then you can have fresh water. So this is a metered box, protected.
Yeah.
And you put it on. You can have a lockbox too if you want, but in some locations somebody sponsors the usage of this water. In some locations it's donated. Oh, the third place was the food forest. When we get going on the food forest, we'll be having a spigot put on that one too.
So does it have a key? Or is this just
this one doesn't have a key. It's just got a faucet there, and it goes on. You have to hook up your hose. Yeah. So this is probably about 100 feet to the far end of the garden here.
Well, we're like that.
Oh my God.
I don't know what we're looking at. Okay.
So this is a great way to get water to a community garden, access through RPU, our water system with our fire hydrants. It's a great way that they help to support community gardens, food security, food justice, especially in a neighborhood like this. Except for that, I got to tell you, El Gallo too, the mercado that's here, really rocks. Okay. It's awesome. So we got food security here with there, but the families share food.
Don't talk
here.
about food too much this morning. But okay.
Oh, are you hungry?
Yeah, maybe.
We also have a fairly large Somali community just up the street, and they participate in this garden as well. So this is a multicultural, multifaceted garden that just brings people together, and it's awesome. So we're going to go in and take a look at the garden, and this garden is a little weedy. Weedy, and the folks have been working really hard on it, but we're going to talk about weeding. We're going to try and bring some tips
Not weed.
Forward.
Weed's been talked about a lot lately in Minnesota, but not weeding. Okay.
Oh
all right. Okay, here we go.
Okay. All right.
Let's get over here.
I guess we did do that edible episode of Horticulture and Viv Williams when we were in the health news with what is it, Forum Communications? What is that? I forget, but yeah, she said edibles. But
Edibles. Okay.
So SHIP also sponsors this. Minnesota Statewide Health Improvement Program helps to sponsor this garden for funding. Well, we're not going to go in here, Tom. The gate's over there.
So I'm going to have to carry it in. Okay, so we're going to talk. So why weeding? Okay, so let me give you a couple pieces of information.
Look at this awesome gate they put in.
This is okay. You know, MLK set a standard for posts, but no, they looked at what you did at MLK, right?
Yep, and they built up upon it. Well, you know, I gotta tell you, it was just Master Gardeners doing our fence, so we're not as good. They had like this really awesome. They had a real awesome construction crew doing this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going in, but let me tell you a little bit why weeding, right? Well, XEM, who does surveys on gardening every year, you know, gardening is still hot in the U.S. Gardening does a lot. 55% of households in the U.S. garden, and millennials are really the growing group. out of
They
all
grow a
this.
lot of indoor plants though too.
Yeah, they're kind
Yeah.
of. It's interesting the selection of what gets into the demographics of it, but 48 billion is spent on gardening in the U.S. 48 billion. So it is
Yeah,
a
but
big business.
You know, I don't know. I got a beef with that statistic. I mean, gardening. Yeah, what does that include? Does that include all that kitschy, crafty stuff? Does that include propaganda for cheap tools that break after a year? Does that include
It probably.
education and horticulture skills?
Garden centers and everything,
I'd like to see a breakdown on that because I think gardening. It's like what's really how many of that includes grants? You know me, I'm always picking stuff apart.
And not everybody does pollinator gardens like I do, but the average household does $600 worth of produce is what they found
Average?
out.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's $600 of produce, and tomatoes is right up there.
Tomatoes are a biggie. They are a huge component of why people garden in the
But
summer.
the most number one
Sweet corn.
hated activity in the garden,
Weeding.
weeding. And if you see master gardeners, we're either preparing a garden and we're doing occultation or solarization, or we're just mulching, right? A lot of mulch. We're carrying a lot of mulch. But now that the plants are in the ground, you know what comes next is weeding. And know your weeds. But and there's ways to control weeds. I prefer mechanical,
Mechanical weed suppression or weed eradication is really the best. It doesn't add chemicals to the soil. It gives you a little bit of physical activity. But you also kind of need to understand the plants and what needs to be weeded.
Is it rhizomes? Is it climbing?
Is it rhizomes? Is it a
creeping?
taproot? Is it an annual? Is it a perennial weed? So help with that kind of thing is really important. And you can see the paths here. We're just going to show you a path. This garden has been divided really, really beautifully for all of the families that garden here. But we've got an issue along this path right here of perennial weeds. And you can see they put down a weed barrier that was purchased, or perhaps it was donated. One of the issues with a weed barrier like this, if it's a very thin one, is that it lets light through. And if you don't cover up all of the perennial weeds and squelch all the light, those rhizomes are going to pop to the surface. Any of those blades of grass or perennial weeds are going to continue to use photosynthesis to create energy to keep growing. So the key is you need to block all the light. So I'm going to suggest for these folks that they put down a bunch of cardboard and put down some more mulch to completely block the light. And we clean up the edge so that no roots can go anywhere else and further into the space. And then you can also see, I'm going to pick on this one bed right here. This is a lovely gal. Look at these beautiful trellises she's created with twine and stakes, wooden stakes and some plastic stakes around her tomatoes. And she's also got a small tomato cage. But she's got just a few annual weeds popping up here. These are weeds that have sprouted in just the warm weather and the water, and they pull out really easily. The key to those is you don't have to worry about them until they start to flower.
That's
Why,
the key
Tom?
thing.
Why, Tom? Why do we worry about
Because
the flower?
if they
on
flower,
a weed?
then they're going to seed. And
Seeds!
Yep. So make sure your weeds don't flower.
Yeah, seeds are a living organism. They are filled with life. So the minute... Are you in there? Are you in there?
I'm getting down there.
The minute seeds have warmth, light, and moisture, they're going to germinate if it's a viable seed. So that's what you want to prevent. So don't get all freaked out and hurry out there to weed some of these weeds because they're not a problem until they flower and then that seed forms. With the perennial weeds that come back year after year,
you got to get the roots. You got to get the rhizomes.
You got to get the roots.
Out,
You got to get the roots.
They're not going to go away.
Yeah, and some weeds are more difficult than others. Should we talk a little bit about soil biology here, Tom?
Well, I was going to mention for those that have other alternatives for weeding, we do have.
Oh my gosh!
We do have chemicals, and it's either a pre-emergence or a post-emergence type of deal, right?
Well, the only pre-emergent that I recommend, because I'm an extension master gardener, is Iowa State, University of Iowa or Iowa State? University of Iowa Extension.
No, it's Iowa State.
Is it Iowa State?
Yep,
okay,
yep.
thanks. Right?
Huge
You're an Iowegian.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Iowa's just med school.
Yeah. So corn gluten meal. It's an absolutely incredible product. It's yellow. We used to be able to purchase here in Rochester, but I haven't been able to find a resource for it. But it's an absolutely excellent pre-emergent. It also adds nitrogen to the soil. It
It's
is.
like 10% nitrogen or something.
It
It's
is
bad.
residual hog feed. Iowa State did some research with this stuff. Gosh, probably 20 years ago now. What are we doing? We could just leave it like this. There. Is that better?
Well, it was Prince's birthday yesterday. I still can get a little jam in here. So.
Prince's birthday?
Yesterday, yeah.
Oh, was it? I missed that.
But
We love Prince.
But there
Hey.
are the two pre-emergence and post-emergence if you go that route.
Yeah.
And just be really, the instructions is the law.
Follow the instructions.
You have to read the instructions. Don't just go out willy-nilly spraying
Right,
and stuff
right.
like that. But know the difference between pre and post-emergence. I mean, what you're doing. So
And then the other bad chemicals, when if you've got like more than a 25%, or I like to go with a 50% infestation of weeds, Extension does recommend chemical application, to control those weeds if you want to eradicate them or get a good start on it so that you can maintain easier in the future. And using a broadleaf weed killer can work. But again, if you were going to try and eliminate like this perennial grass here,
Yeah.
you really need to go to a broad spectrum, like a Garlon 4 or even a glyphosate, like
Yeah.
Roundup.
So
but
glyphosate is probably the number one.
It is, but
post-emergence.
even because I really care about soil health and all those organisms in the soil, I tend to go for OMRI products. OMRI, Organic Manufacturing Research Institute. I think that's what it's called. OMRI, OMRI.
Yeah.
You can Google that. We should put a link. We're really bad at putting those links in
We're
the
going to
comments.
start linking. We're going to start linking up.
We need to. We're going to do links. We're going to add links to our videos.
We got to add some links.
Yeah,
We gotta do
somebody's
some more
calling
stuff.
me. I should
So,
probably
okay,
hang up on them.
But
But so OMRI listed products are really great to use. Look for something like that. But this is a
But the pre-emergence is usually the
corn gluten meal is what I recommend.
Well,
I
that's
don't
on here. That's down
yeah,
here. Yeah, but
I don't use trifurulin or Treflan.
Yeah.
They're pretty heavy duty ag chemicals, and I don't recommend
those
those
are
in home gardens
pre-emergence,
at all.
like crabgrass, maybe things like that. So,
Yeah, and
you don't want to put pre-emergence in a garden because you'll be affecting maybe vegetables and things.
You
that
can
you've
put
got.
corn gluten meal in a garden. But
if
not
you put
the
these
others.
other ones,
and
they'll list what you
Yeah,
can.
and it's too late for those this year now anyway.
yeah.
We
Everything's
want to get a
emerged.
pre-emergent down first 72-degree day when the crocus are blooming. That's
Yeah.
generally what we recommend.
So,
what else you got on weeds, Tom?
On weeds, no, that's about it. I just wanted to talk about it because it's something you have to do now. We got the plants in the ground. We've got the
And it's the least
gardens
liked
perfect,
activity.
and it's the least liked activity.
I like weeding. It's a good hamstring stretch.
It
Get
does.
some good squats in,
You
up,
can
down,
relax
up, down.
Well, yeah, we can get into how to weed and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
you guys figure it out. So from that, another project done, another visit.
Back to Eden Garden. We're liking what's going on here. And hey, Master Gardeners, we are looking for some speakers I'm going to open up Melena's text here.
Yeah.
We are looking for speakers here. They are going to do some talks at this garden on June 14th, June 28th, July 12th, and July 26th. They start at 6:30 p.m. So folks, join the Master Gardeners here, and especially the interns who are leading this project along with me, Melena Nunez Garcia and Jose Cruz. We're at the Oak Park Terrace Latinx community here, right along Marion Road, kind of right across from the Armory here. And we've got some great stuff happening here. And there we go. And also, they're creating a seating area in the back corner of the garden to just gather community and kind of spread the word and to share vegetables.
Well, it'll be the meeting place to talk, have a
yeah,
little
and
talks.
it'll be interesting to see how this garden develops over the next couple of years. It's great. It's located in a chemical-free park with the city of Rochester. There's no chemical sprayed here, so you don't want to put chemicals down here. And yeah.
So that's what we're all about, Master Gardeners. I mean, educational outreach. We're not just laborers out here. We are mulching
I
and
like to
weeding
labor.
and stuff and planting.
You're a pretty good
but,
laborer.
Yeah, we can labor, but we're also educators, especially
We
you.
try
You're
to be.
really-
We try to be.
So with that, rock your day.